Okay. So today we are going to be continuing the group projects. And what that means is you'll be deploying your full stack application to AWS, which means you're going to need an AWS account. So one of the first things that you'll want to know about an AWS account is it's going to ask you if you want to sign in as a root user or an IAM user sign in. And I think since you don't have access to an existing AWS account, you're going to want to sign in as a root user. And let's see, what does it look like to make a new account? Okay, so signing up for a new account should be fairly straightforward. The difference between a root user and an IAM user, does anybody know? Okay, so we know that AWS is a cloud platform, and part of what that lets you do is create resources, anything you need to run not just an application, but a system and infrastructure for your applications. And that means you're going to be able to set up users as well, users, teams, groups, permissions, a lot of the same things that you can actually do on like your operating system, creating Linux users, for example. I'm not sure if that's something that gets covered at all. I don't think it does actually in Fullstack, but it's the same thing. You have the means of creating users, and that's what IAM is. IAM is AWS's user resource. So you can't actually, well, yeah, you can't create IAM users if you don't have an account to create them under. And that's what the root user is. The root user is the owner of the account. And you could think of it as being similar to the root user when you create like a new Postgres database or when you um, set up an operating system. It's the same thing. So you're going to want to create a root user. And once you have that, I'm not sure what else it walks you through. It's been a while since I've done this. I don't think the sign-up process is too long. So let's see. Let me know if you run into any kind of hiccups. And I'm going to sign into,
Julius,
yeah,
do we need to input our credit card information?
you shouldn't. Is it making you?
Um, I mean, I have that page pulled up.
Is there any way to bypass it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So there's three types of the offers. There's free trials, 12 months free, and always free. Which one do we pick for this course?
You could do always free.
Always free. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Is that what, and Mike, is that prompting you for a credit card as well?
I haven't gotten that far yet. I was taking the notes, what you were saying, and so I was just once I click it though, always free. Then it goes to a drop down of the hell? More than 100 AWS products. Oh, it's showing me all the products that's always free.
Okay.
Uh, okay, no, I had to click the middle button, the create. I thought that part was a part of the AWS part, which is why I asked. I
All
mean,
right.
it is, but it's not the, yeah, I guess it's the services.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. You see where you yeah. That's what it was showing me.
Okay. Okay.
So was anybody able to get through the past the billing information? Because I'm getting the same thing.
I think I clicked, I don't think I saw the always free. I clicked the,
I
I
didn't
think
even get an option for that, just telling me credit.
yeah, I did put my credit card information in there. It said it shouldn't be charging. I don't know.
Yeah, when you create resources in AWS, it'll let you know if you're selecting uh, resource that's paid or if it's a free tier resource. Okay, I'm looking this up. I'm seeing Stack Overflow that says it's from 7 years ago, but it's saying that you will have to provide credit card information. It's necessary to make sure you are not a person who is already banned from opening an account on AWS. Yeah. If you absolutely feel uncomfortable, um, I don't know, actually, this is tough. I was going to suggest if you all actually feel uncomfortable making an account, there is a code Platoon AWS account that we use for DevOps, but I don't know if the other instructors have access to that. So that might just overcomplicate things. Okay. Actually, show of hands. Is there anybody that's absolutely uncomfortable creating an account and adding their credit information?
I'm sure they already have mine anyway.
Yeah, I already have an Amazon account.
Okay, cool. One thumbs down, no thumbs up. Okay. Give you all a few more minutes to get signed in. Gotta find my account ID. Yeah, once you have your account, store your account ID somewhere handy. So you'll have it ready for access. Because what they also recommend is once you've created your user account, that you create an IAM user for yourself and you use that to sign in. It's not absolutely necessary, but AWS will consider that best practice and the UI will remind you or suggest that you do that.
I'm not entirely sure how to do what you're saying right now.
Okay. Let me get signed in and I'll show you. Clicking on the sign up with root user removed my AWS account number, so I don't have to look for it. few more folks. All right, for those of you that are just joining, what we're doing right now is we are getting set up with AWS. So if you don't already have an AWS account, sign on to the link inside of today's README, and I'll show you where to sign up for an AWS account.
We're just standing by, right? I finally got up and running in terms of having the account, but we're just standing by for everyone else to catch up.
Yeah,
Okay, before we do something with the ID you were talking about.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, show of hands, who is still getting set up?
I'm on the page where it's asking if I should sign in as a root user or IAM user.
Yeah, sign in as a root user because you're not going to have an IAM user account just yet.
Okay.
Yeah, the root user is going to come with an account ID. That account ID is going to be required when you sign in with an IAM account. So keep note of that. And when you are ready, let's first talk about the AWS UI. If you're looking at my screen, you're not going to see all of these in your bookmark bar. It's going to be empty. Top right is, once we get to console home, we are good. Yeah, that should be, yeah, Justin or Jonathan. Yeah, that'll be good. So in your window, if you look at the top right, you can see your account ID and your IAM user. If you're signed in as an IAM user, otherwise I'll tell you that you're root, I believe. And this is the part of the UI you would use to look at your billing, your security credentials, your accounts in your organization, things of that nature. And if it asks you to create an IAM account, which I think it will at some point, you'll want to use a search bar to look for different resources. You could use the search bar to find anything. As soon as you start typing, it will expand and show you some suggestions for what you may be typing. And in our case, we want to look for IAM. IAM is the AWS resource, again, for managing user access. And if we go over to IAM, this brings us to the IAM dashboard, where we can see in our account how many users and user groups and roles and policies we have established. So to create a user, we'll go over to users here, and you just go to create user in the top right. You create a username. Let's call this one. Oh no, dummy user.
Are we installing the IAM dashboard?
You shouldn't be installing the dashboard. All of this is going to be done through your UI.
Is all being done through what?
Your UI, your browser.
Yeah, that's what I'm at. Because when I typed in IAM, it came up with different options, and so I selected IAM. Yeah, I selected that one.
Okay, cool. And that should take you to the dashboard.
Yeah.
Now, in the dashboard, a lot of the resources are set up like a dashboard, and then on the left side, little control panel, I guess, for different pages available inside of that dashboard. In this case, IAM is about identity and access management. So it's got configurations for user groups, users, roles, etc. And what we want to click on right now is users. And when you click on users, there's going to be a create user button in the top right. And this is where you could create your user.
Is that creating us as a user? Is that what we're doing right now?
Yeah,
Or-
creating your own IAM user.
Meaning like me,
Yes,
creating me as an IAM user.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let me actually just say, for the sake of the example, I'm going to pretend I don't already have an account or an IAM user for this, so I'm going to make one for myself. Since it is for yourself, you could go ahead and click this check bar. It's optional, but it will give you access to the management console, things like billing and security. And since it's your own account, it should be fine. That way you don't have to switch between your IAM user and your root user to look at things. Okay, it's going to ask for a password. Right. You can uncheck this because, again, it's your own account. If you were creating an IAM user for another person, that's what this is for. You could give them a default password, and once they're signed in, they'll be prompted to create their own password.
I've gotten just a step behind on when you put the username in, then it says you have the choice, the user type, specify user and identity center recommended, or I want to create an IAM user, just the top one.
Yeah, let's just do the IAM user. IAM Identity Center.
She's talking about when you click on provide user access, I think. Go back to where you were, please.
There, right there. Yeah, but
Yeah,
mine
yeah,
looks
sorry, go ahead, Kim.
yeah, mine looks different than that.
Same.
Okay, what if you uncheck it?
Then we see exactly what you're seeing.
There you go. Yeah.
Can you share? Can I see what you're seeing?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So when I click this,
On screen.
and what you said, and what your screen had.
Yeah, I think it's the wrong screen. I'm seeing your Slack covered by browser.
Shoot.
Yeah, I got it up there, Kim. I know exactly what you're looking at because I'm seeing the same thing. She's talking about this box. This box shows up for us. It didn't show up for you.
Okay.
And see, it gets aware of everything. Then this shows what you were seeing.
Okay. Yeah, you could just do I want to create an IAM user. The IAM, or sorry, the Identity Center lets you manage multiple users. And I think just to try to keep this first part simple, let's just do that second one.
So click on that and then keep this clicked and then click this.
Yeah. Well, if you want, but you could also just create your password now and uncheck that last box. That last box is really if you're making a user account for somebody else.
So create our password as in this.
Mhm.
Something in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we create another user to give someone access to whatever we're trying to do,
Mhm.
auto generate one for them, click this for that other person, and then they can make up their own thing to get access to the part we haven't done yet.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes sense, Kim, and everyone else?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not understanding what we'd be giving people access to see yet. But
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. I think we're just showing us how to create a user, and he'll show us the next part after we've done that.
and permissions options. Add user to group. Copy permissions, attach policies directly.
Yeah.
Which one?
Copy permissions. I mean, either one is fine.
I suppose it's not as important since it's just for ourselves, not for someone else.
Yeah. So, okay, here I'm at the same part that you are now. If you don't already have a user group, you could create one. In my case, for example, we have instructors and students in different groups. If I wanted to add them to an existing group, I just select this. Otherwise, I could create a new group and grab permissions from an existing source or default permissions.
Well, I didn't see that screen. Did you come across that, Sean?
No, I didn't. I did click on the copy permissions, but didn't have anything there. I think I just jumped ahead too far.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's because we don't have any groups with memberships
Yeah.
yet, though, right?
Yeah. So I think if you try to add a user to a group.
Yeah, that's where mine took me.
Okay. Yeah, then I'm gonna go ahead and create this user. Looks like this user was created. And not assigned to a group. I'm the wrong one. Okay, yeah. When I created a new user, it was not assigned to a group, so you don't have to worry about assigning it to a group.
I'm assuming groups are just already established permissions within the group. So if you're in that group, you have that permission set.
Yeah, yeah.
So which of the three permission ones do we choose?
Okay,
Add, huh?
yeah, just choose that first one.
Add user to group.
Yeah. Or
And do we need to do anything for set a permissions boundary?
what are the options given?
It just says set permission boundary optional, sets a permission boundary to control the maximum permission for this user. And then there's a box that says use a permissions boundary to control the maximum permissions. It's just one checkbox.
Yeah, since it's for yourself, you don't need to set a boundary. Oh, okay, so the idea is this resource gives you the ability to create user accounts for other users to use. So like you are the organization owner in this case, right? You've just created a new AWS account that you own. And let's say in theory, if like you were a startup or something like that, you could give other users access to this same account so they could see the same resources that you've created so that they could collaborate with you and other users working here. In those cases, you'd probably want to set permissions boundaries. You'd probably want to set up various groups, set up different permissions for different groups. In this case, if this is an account that you're creating for yourself, you don't need to set boundaries for your permissions. Okay. Megan, you're just joining us, right?
Yes, sorry.
Do you have an AWS account set up yet?
I do. I
Okay.
have an AWS account from this summer.
Nice.
Vets in Tech offers a AWS course too. If anyone wants to like expand more than we learned during Code Platoon.
Cool. Okay. I kind of want to get away from the IAM stuff. If everybody's all set up from that, let's go ahead and switch over to EC2. And let me know if and when you're all there. Okay, thumbs up. Cool. All right, EC2s. EC2s are essentially virtual machines, the elastic compute cloud resource. You could think of EC2 as being like, spinning up a VM in your local machine. And within an EC2, you can have a running operating system. And on that system, install anything that you can on a local operating system. This is the dashboard, and what you're going to want to do first is
1 sec, Julius. Are we in a rush for time? Because there's still some people trying to catch up, and I'm having a hard time keeping up, honestly. And I'm with you right now on the same screen.
okay.
Daryl's still trying to verify his payment information. I mean, Megan has an account, but is she where we're at? And I just want to make sure everyone else is with us too.
Okay.
Because I would like to pay attention with what EC2 is, but I'm not there. And I feel like this is the important part we need to know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to wait for me. I would hold you guys back too long.
Well, do you know what EC2 is and everything? Because
No, but I could just watch this video again.
okay. Megan, are you caught up to where we're at?
Sorry, did you ask me a question?
Yeah, are you caught up to where Julius is at?
Yes, with
Okay.
the EC2.
Yeah. And no one else
Yeah.
is behind?
How do
Pardon?
you EC2?
Yeah.
Use your search bar, Mike, and type EC2.
Okay.
And then you go to virtual servers in the cloud, correct?
Just be careful if you run them. It costs money. Did you guys already go over that with the budgeting limit?
No, we're not there yet. We haven't. All we've done so far, Megan, is create the account, the root user account, and walk through creating an IAM user for everyone.
Okay, I'm gonna log into mine. Sorry.
Okay.
chaotic here this morning.
Okay.
If no one's behind and everyone else is here, then we'll push forward. And EC2 is just a virtual, like just kind of give a recap of what EC2 is. Like,
Yeah. Sure. And EC2 is essentially a virtual machine. So when you create an EC2, you're going to be prompted for things like what kind of image to use. And the image is a representation of.
Julius, can you hold on a second? Oh, Mike, I think you're hearing very well. I think you're mute. Thank you.
Okay. And right, images. When you select an image, that's essentially a representation of the operating system that you're selecting for your EC2. So if we click on launch instance, we'll see this screen. And it's a virtual machine. So it uses a machine image. And like the images that you've already worked with in things like Docker, an image is essentially like a representation of a system's state. If we select some of these different options, we could see that the AMI changes, and it tells us here if it's a free tier eligible instance or not. So for example, this Mac OS is not free, so you're going to want to avoid selecting this. For the most part, I think you're going to be working with the Amazon Linux image, 2023 image. I don't think there's anything in this curriculum that has you select anything otherwise. So just stick with Amazon Linux 2023. And it's a free tier eligible image, unlike some of these other ones down here.
I was kind of clicking through those like you were, and now my computer's hung up. I'm not sure.
It's kind of slow. This website's kind of slow. You just have to wait it out.
Okay. Because if I try to go back to Amazon Linux, it says some of your current settings will be changed or removed if you proceed. Just say yes, confirm changes.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's the same thing that happened here, right?
Yeah, it's just the permissions from changing OSs.
Okay, thanks. So
Okay.
it's with Amazon Linux, you said?
Yeah, 2023.
Okay.
Okay. Now, once you've selected that, you can select an instance type. The instance type is essentially a preset for the CPU and memory allocation that you want to use. And we're going to, just like the resource above, you can see different ones, and it will tell you if it's a free tier eligible preset or not. And I think in this case, you really only have one option, and that's going to be the T2 micro. So just leave it at that. And yes, it's going to be enough for the class's use case for now, but yeah, it's not a lot of resources to work with. Okay, so you will need to create a key pair, I believe. Yeah. So this next part, you're going to create a key pair and you're going to want to store this somewhere. If I were to create a new one, it's going to ask for a name and it's going to ask for a key pair type. Just leave it at RSA. These are just different encryption types. And you could also just leave it at the .pem format as well. So let's call this Gulf. I create a key pair. It's going to download that PEM. And what I would recommend is moving that PEM into your .ssh directory under your account. So if I go over to VS Code, is it sharing my, okay, cool. We can see that I have my PEM key.
I don't know what you're doing right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. When you create a PEM key or a key pair login, it shows you this window. And if you
Yeah.
give it a name, and you create your key pair, it's just downloaded. So if you look at the top right of your browser, it shows you that it confirms that it's downloaded and it's going to start in your downloads folder. Now you can move it to a new location, and I would recommend moving it into your .ssh folder.
I think that's what I was talking about. I don't know what my SSH folder is.
Oh, okay. So I thought that that was something you all already worked with.
We might have, and I'm just not.
I don't think I thought we would have messed with that for the GitHub stuff, but I don't think we did.
Oh, okay. You didn't. All right. Let me then pull up my. To my. Yeah, if you go to your home directory and you show your hidden folders, you should be able to see a .ssh directory. Yikes, where is my VS Code? I'm having trouble finding my VS Code. Okay, so right. If I go to my home directory, I could see all my folders. And if I do an ls.dash lah, this is your command to list all of the files in your directory, including hidden files. You'll see anything with a period in front of it is a hidden file or directory. And there should be a hidden directory called .ssh. So I'm going to go into that directory. And this is where you can store things like SSH keys, key pairs.
I don't have an SSH. Does everybody else?
I don't know.
It's a hidden file. So I think, at least in my terminal, if you're in the home directory, you do tac, was it ls, not tac ls, ls space.
You're on Linux, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a Mac.
It's all the same.
I'm on a
What is
Mac
it?
and I've got my hidden. Well, when you say go to your home directory, you mean like in tilde?
Yeah.
Just the tilde, yeah. And then ls-lah, and that'll pull up all the hidden ones.
They're all there, but I don't see one that's SSH.
I
You
don't
see
have
any
it.
files with like a period in front of the file name?
There's a whole bunch with the period in front of it, but none of them have SSH behind it.
Okay. You could just make one then. I would have thought that when you all went through the what is it called? The install fest and get set up for GitHub, that you would at least have a GitHub SSH key created.
I had brought this up a while ago, Julius. A lot of people are using HTTPS.
Oh, really?
That's all we've been shown.
Really?
Yes.
It's been that way for a while now.
It's
Yeah,
always
we
been
must do
copy
that.
the HTTPS and then git clone HTTPS.
Yeah, it's always made my teeth grind.
Okay. Well, we can walk through getting that set up too. Because I think on your EC2, you might run into, well, I was running into issues getting it to work with HTTPS, so I just use SSH. I always use SSH. But we'll walk through that when we get there. For now, you need to store this key pair login somewhere. And the best place to store that is going to be inside of your .ssh folder, because you're going to want to set up SSH access, and this is the directory where your configurations will get created by default, I believe. So things like known hosts gets created when you set up your SSH agent. But again, we'll get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
But at this point, you want us to just make a directory called SSH? That's it?
Yeah, .ssh. Make sure it's hidden
How do I make sure it's hidden?
with a dot. Yeah.
So make your .ssh is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Once you hit
On the Macs, I just found out it doesn't make it up until you actually use from the SSH, because I was trying to find out why it's not there by default.
Mhm.
That's why, because we haven't had to use SSH. So
Okay. Yeah, let's see. How much of this README? Yeah, the way this README is written just sounds like it assumes that you've all done this before.
Readmes assume we know a lot of things we don't know.
All right, I'll point that out to Jordan. I guess this one can use a bit of updating, but we have time. It's Saturday, so we've got a lot of time. We're gonna go ahead and walk through creating the instance. Once we have your key pairs created, we'll go through and create a security group, and you'll have your EC2 running. So we are almost there. We're almost at the SSH portion. But let's see, where's everybody at? Is there anyone that is still having trouble getting a key pair created? Okay.
So on the IP address, do we want to limit that to our current IP, even if we're dynamically provided by our ISPs?
Yeah, because you're not really going to be working on this instance longer than today, I believe.
Okay.
So you shouldn't have to worry about like being assigned a new IP address. But that is a good call out. Yeah. So what Justin's referring to is this next part here in network settings. When you create a security group, it's going to ask you for an IP address or where you want to allow traffic from. If you select this anywhere, this 0.0.0.0, then you're basically allowing traffic to your EC2 from any IP address. Anyone can be able to access your resource. For today, we're gonna just go ahead and select my IP, which is your local machine's IP address. And this way, only you will have access, SSH access to the instance.
I'm not where you are right now. I'm not sure what I missed.
Okay. Well, we're back in the EC2 window where we're creating an EC2. Right under where we created our key pair login is the network settings. So we're just continuing down the EC2 creation window. And the next thing we want to set up is our network settings.
I'm not in the right place apparently because I don't have network settings. Goodness.
What are you seeing?
I'm all the way back to the home screen.
Oh, okay. So you closed out the tab where you were creating an EC2?
I think I did. I was trying to figure out how to get the what I just downloaded, the key pair, and get it into my new SSH file, but I'm new to using a Mac and I'm not sure how to get hold of that download now.
Oh, you aren't?
No.
Okay.
If you go to your Finder and then click on Downloads, it should have everything you downloaded, and that should be where your key pair file is, or Golf Perm, or whatever you named it.
Yeah, and in Finder, I think if you're using that, you can use control option to like show hidden files and directories. It's like control option period or something like that.
It's okay. So I did what I think was it Jonathan or whoever said that. So I do have downloads up and it's not there. So I must not have actually completed it, the key value pair thing.
Okay. What browser are you using?
Chrome.
Okay. In Chrome, in the top right, in your download history, does it show the PEM file?
Can you ask me that again?
In the top right of your browser, when you click on the download history, like that down arrow next to your icon, does it show the .pem file, the key pair?
It says it was deleted.
It's deleted. Okay, well, I guess you could create another one.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, just go back to the EC2 view, launch an instance, create a name.
Do that whole thing over again.
Yeah.
Notice you didn't select a key pair. Yeah, that's why I'm here.
I have one selected.
I think that was AWS telling her that.
Can I just share my screen? I'm sorry. This
Oh,
is
yeah, sure. No. I mean, sorry. Like if that's what, yeah, let's do that.
all right. Do you see my
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what to do at this point. Just launch instance, or am I supposed to create a new pair?
Create a new pair. Okay, give it a name.
Is this where we just did
Yeah.
golf again, or
Just name whatever you want.
it's hard to name something when I don't even know what it's for or what I'm going to do with it. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah. Okay, so
Golf.
well. Oh, I think you
but
already made it. Yeah. Okay. Call it Golf 2.
When she clicks on launch instance, is she going to be ahead of us?
Yeah, why is it showing launch
Press
instance?
the X, Kim, up top right corner. This is the page we're on. Go ahead, put a name in where it says key pair name, right there at the top. Whatever name you're going to put, golf 2. Cool. Yeah, make sure that one's selected, I guess. Or no, you got to create pair, sorry. Right next to it. Create new key pair. There you go. Now call it golf 2.
It's just give me a chance to select one.
Huh.
Can you select that?
Let you create a new one.
Without key pair. I don't know what I'm doing here, obviously. Should I click proceed without key pair?
I don't think it'll let us.
I don't know why your view is different. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hit cancel and can you scroll up? Okay, so you have we have AWS. Okay, let's scroll back down to the key pair. I don't know, hit that refresh button.
Just refresh.
No. Next to the key pair.
Okay. Now hit create new key pair again. Why is it just showing you that? That's so weird. It's not showing you like the rest of the.
Maybe she should start from the beginning and just go through this.
Is there a create new, why don't you just click create new key pair?
Does she have to put a name in before she clicks create new pair?
No.
And that's why it's popping that up in
Well,
the big bar.
When I click on create key pair, it shows all of the configuration options.
Type in golf 2 right there when you click on that.
I mean, option to select, not create a new one.
Now click on create new pair next to it. Way over to the right. No, weird.
I'd just say start the process over again. Unless you've already done that.
Like how far back?
Like from EC2, like all the way back from EC2. Just to kind of get us going, and then create. Well, yeah, I forgot where we started.
Yeah, launching it.
There we go. Name it.
A new
Right.
one here.
Yeah, we didn't name it. So is everything selected already? We got that Amazon Linux. Scroll down.
So put a name here or don't put a name here?
Yeah.
No. Oh, you want a name? I didn't even put a name on that.
I think from the other page you could just hit cancel and it would have. Unless she already launched a server.
He hasn't launched one yet.
And then yeah, just scroll down and make sure everything's still selected. Free tier. Free tier. And now try to create a key and see if it's still there.
Okay.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, that's.
I think in her browser, there's probably multiple screens, and in those screens, she may have started an instance.
Now this is what I need to put into the SSH file is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
I don't exactly know how to do that.
Okay. Can you open up VS Code or your terminal, whatever you'd like to use? Okay. Let's go to your downloads directory.
It's right there on the top, right? Golf 2 p.m.
Is that what you want? Is this right here?
Hold on. I heard two things. Somebody said that it's right there at the top. What were you referring to?
Here. Is that what you're talking about, Justin?
Oh yeah. Inside of your file browser, yeah. So you want to move that into your .ssh folder, right?
Yeah, I didn't put that.
So, okay. It's inside your downloads directory. So if you go into your downloads directory and we confirm that's there.
Okay, it's there.
Okay, now do an MV for move. Space the file name. Okay, space dot dot forward slash dot SSH. Okay. Now go into your .ssh directory from there.
What was the code to show the hidden ones?
Oh, -A.
Oh, just actually.
Okay.
Okay. That's what you wanted? Just
Yes.
to have it. Okay. Sorry, everyone.
Okay. So next, you're going to want to go to network settings and you're going to want to create a security group. Let me start sharing again. And you're going to want to allow SSH traffic from my IP.
Can you tell me how to get to network settings?
It should be right below key pair login.
Okay. And you said we're going to do what now with the network settings?
It's going to ask you to confirm a few things. So one, you're going to allow SSH traffic from my IP. And then you're also going to allow HTTP traffic from the internet. And what this is telling you here is it's going to allow access from all IP addresses. That's what the 0.0.0.0 means. And that's okay. That's good for now. Everything else should be the same. Our storage is fine as is. And there aren't any advanced configurations that we have to worry about. The one other thing that I would just want to ensure is that in the network settings, again, you have auto assign public IP enabled. That should be the default value. So with all of that configured, you can go ahead and launch your instance. To hit launch instance, it's going to give you some status updates on the launch. And once it is launched, you could go back into EC2, view your running instances, and it should show up. It'll likely show up with an initializing status, which is fine. It's going to take a moment to get set up anyway. And while we're waiting on it to set up, let's go back to our README and see what's next. Okay. Right now, your front end request is going to okay, so I guess this is talking about where you all left off yesterday. Either your Fullstack web app or your PeopleGetter app, if you're running that locally, it goes to this local address. Again, 127.0.0.1 is your local host. And because you're running Django, it's using port 8000. And since this is your local host, it's not going to be accessible from the internet. So what we want to do is use the EC2's IP address. And let's go back to our EC2 and let's take a look at what that looks like. Once you click on your EC2, it will take you to this kind of view where you'll be able to see all sorts of information on it, right? It's going to show the public IP address because you left the public IP address creation enabled by default. And it's going to show things like the ID of the instance, associated resources. But right now, all we really want to pay attention to is this IP address, the public IPv4 address. And we'll be updating. Well, I don't have this example right now, but when you are ready to configure your full stack web app, you will be replacing references of 127.0.0.1 with this public IP address. Okay. And we're also going to want to configure one more security rule. Are we all caught up, by the way? Okay. So let's go back to our EC2 and let's talk about something else that we want to look at. If you scroll down from here, you can see all of these various tabs. A lot of resources in AWS are set up like this. When you go to the resource, you'll see some info on it, and then you'll see multiple tabs. We're going to click on security, and it's going to show us things like IAM roles that are assigned to it, security groups. And it's also going to show us some inbound rules. If we want to edit these rules, we can go over to security groups on the left side bar, or whatever you want to call this panel. And under network and security, click on security groups. You should only have the one. So mine is called Launch Wizard 25. You could also just click on it from the link there. And this will allow you to create new rules, edit and create new rules. So this is my security group that's associated with my EC2, and I can switch between inbound and outbound rules. All we want to do right now is create a new inbound rule. So let's go to edit inbound rules, and we're going to add a rule. And if you recall, when we were setting up the EC2, it asked us if we wanted to set up any connections. And what we did was we selected SSH from my IP and HTTP from all locations. So this is essentially matching the network settings configuration when you were setting up your EC2. Now we're adding a new rule. We're going to add a CIDR block of 0.0.0.0. And you have two options here. You could either directly set this to 8,000 because that's what Django uses, or you can just set it to.
Does this use Django inherently or something like that? Because you say Django and Django's next week and we haven't touched Django yet, as far as I know.
So the People Getter app, have you been working with the People Getter app?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the People Getter app uses Django. Am I making that assumption?
I think so, because we downloaded
Flask.
it and yeah.
It uses Flask.
My bad. Okay. All right, it's using Flask.
But for your sake, Sean, just imagine that it was Django.
Got it.
Like, yeah.
Okay. Right. So we're basically trying to match this port to whatever our application requires, right? And in this case, the README says to use 8,000. You could also just set it to all traffic, and it will work with your application as well. So once you set up this new rule, you're going to go ahead and save that rule. And
Say, Julius, you did that kind of quick. If we just create a new one, all traffic, that's all we need to do, or do we need to put something else in there?
yeah, that's all. So, right. This CIDR range is probably the only thing you want to select. Make sure it's 0.0.0.0. So this and the source should be all we need. Okay.
So what is that doing? That's allowing anyone from anywhere to come in to this server, whatever?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because before it was just an HTTP request or
Mhm.
our SSH request, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Now this is enabling all traffic, which means traffic included traffic from your applications, your running processes on your EC2. So when you have your application moved to your EC2, it's going to be running 3 different containers, and these different applications are going to be using different ports. They'll have listeners set up to different ports, and by allowing it to be all traffic right now and using a CIDR range of 0.0.0.0, we don't have to manually configure security group rules for each individual container. Okay. With that set up, we can.
One last question, and that's important because if you just want one specific container to reach out to, I guess, another container, you're going to have to individualize that port mapping. Am I saying that right?
Yes,
So that way I can only talk, I'm only letting you talk to that person basically, which container.
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So now that we've got this set up, you should be able to SSH into your EC2. If we go back to our EC2 and we check, where's my EC2? Oh, there it is. Yeah, let's go back to our EC2 and let's go to this connect button right here. This part of the UI will show you different methods of connecting.
I'm not where you are. You said go back to EC2. I don't see the connect.
Yeah, once you're back in the EC2, select your EC2. So you could see the different instances. And if you click on the instance ID, you'll be able to see your EC2 again. And when you're in the view that shows your EC2 with like the IP address and all of its other details, there will also be a connect button in the top right.
Okay, I'm there now. Thanks.
So in this view, you'll have multiple tabs again, and we're going to want to connect with an SSH client. So we're going to grab, well, first let's talk through what we're seeing here, okay? We're seeing our instance ID. It's the same ID that you saw when you clicked on your instance and viewed its information and details. It's going to tell you to open SSH client. It's going to tell you to load your private key. This is the key that we created, the key pair that we created when we created our EC2. And it's going to ask you to run this command. It's a command for changing permissions. It's asking you to set certain permissions for this key pair. So wherever your key pair is, or your key file, which should be your .ssh folder, you would run this command. So let's do that right now. I'm going to go back to my terminal. I am going to move my, what is it, golf2.pm into this SSH directory. Okay, my golf2.pem is here in SSH. I'm now going to run that command that it asked me to run. So chmod 400 golf2.pem. This again is changing permissions on this file. And once I've set the right permissions, I'm going to try to connect to my instance. This fourth step is pointing out that there's public DNS associated with your instance. And so the full command is going to be SSH-I for identity, and the full DNS for your EC2, along with your username. By default, it's going to be EC2-user for an AWS Amazon Linux 2023. So you could just copy this command, and in the same directory as your key, if you type this command, it's going to ask you if you want to connect, and you hit yes, and you should be able to connect. If you're not able to connect, it's going to be because of SSH configurations. And so let's see where everybody's at. Let's see if we could all at least connect to our EC2. Cool. Thumbs up. Cool. Awesome. All right. You're on your new Amazon Linux 2023 image. If you do an ls, you'll see nothing. If you do an ls-a, you'll see some similar looking folders. You'll have a bash folder, a .ssh folder, because where you're at right now is your home directory. If you go up one directory and you type ls, you'll see your username, EC2 user. So you are now SSH'd into your EC2. And from here, you're going to be able to run any command that you could on your local machine. Well, I shouldn't say any command, because different operating systems have different commands. In this case, we're using an Amazon image 2023, and it's going to come with a package manager called yum. And we can use these commands inside of today's README to set up Docker. And we could just go ahead and copy all of these commands with just this click right here. And if you type that into your EC2, it should start setting up Docker. So we see now that it's installing everything.
That command's on the README.
Yes, it's in today's README.
And we're installing that straight into where it's we CD'd into the dot, right? Because that's the, or do you want to go to the root of your virtual AWS machine?
When you install this, you could run this anywhere.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, so this is installing line by line. It's installing Git CLI. It's installing Docker. It's then starting up Docker. And then it's setting some user permissions for Docker. And then it grabs this Docker Compose image. It sets that up. And it creates a Docker group. So with all of this, you should have successful installation. You should have Docker available, and now you can grab your repository, or in this case, the people getter repository, and we could try to git clone that onto the EC2. So if I go here and I grab my SSH URL and I do a git clone, well, I'm going to first go into, I'm going to go back to my home directory, and I'm going to make projects folder. I'm going to go to my projects folder, and this is where I'm going to git clone my people
Wait,
getter.
I caught up because I'm way behind you.
Sure. Let's see. Where are you at, Kim?
Well, I'm trying to get to our repo that has that you cloned. Like you just got there real quickly, but I have to actually get there.
Yeah, we're once you install, have you installed all of these yet, Kim?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
They're all installed. I'm just trying to get the repo, to be able to clone it.
Oh yeah, it's in the next line. It's in the example
Oh,
URL.
okay. Shoot. I thought I had to go find it.
Okay. So if you try to clone it, you might run into an issue like this. And if we try, I think HTTPS will also run into that same issue.
Can you tell me where in the README is the address to clone from?
Oh, in a repo, you just click on this blue code button.
Well, how do I get to the, that's what I was saying. I was trying to get to the repo, but you said it's in the README.
Yeah, you click on the example URL in the README.
Oh, okay.
That's going to open up the PeopleGetter2 repo.
Okay, that's what I didn't realize. All right.
And that's where you want to grab yeah, one of these URLs. And I think the way it's set up right now, you're not going to be able to clone from either of these. So we're going to have to do a bit of additional setup.
And we do need to switch to SSH, not for cloning, not the HTTPS like we usually do.
Yeah.
It's just not going to let me. It says you don't have any public SSH keys in your GitHub account.
Yeah, we're going to go through that right now. I know a lot of you have been using HTTPS, like Justin mentioned at the start. I wasn't able to get HTTPS to work. When you do HTTPS, it's going to ask for your GitHub username and your password. First off, I think password access has already been deprecated, so you're going to have to use a pass key. And I don't know about all of you, if like that's what you normally do, but that didn't work for me. So I'm going to walk through doing this with an SSH. So I'm going to grab my .ssh URL. And again, if I do my git clone with my SSH, it's going to tell me that I am denied because I don't have my SSH key up. So now I have to grab.
I can't clone the SSH.
Right. No, yeah, you shouldn't be able to. Like that's what I'm walking through right now. Like I typed my git clone with SSH URL and it prevented me from doing that. Like
I mean, I can't even in GitHub, I can't even clone it. Is what I'm that won't let me clone it right there. It won't let me copy the code right there.
okay. Create a fork and then try creating the link from there.
Okay. I already have a fork. Let me go to my account. I already forked it. Everybody else has already been able to do the SSH. That's weird. I can't.
I have a pop that says you don't have any public SSH keys in your GitHub account. You can add a new public key or try cloning this via HTTPS.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was running into. Same thing if I go to my own, where I forked it, I get the same thing.
Sorry, you're getting what, Kim?
Same thing Jonathan was just saying. So it's automatically on HTTPS. That's what we've all been doing. If I switch to SSH, it get a box that says you don't have any public SSH keys in your GitHub account.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
I guess there is code underneath it that I could copy. Should I just go ahead and copy it?
Yeah. Except it's just gonna show you what it showed me, which is that your permission is denied. So what we're gonna walk through right now is setting up our SSH keys in GitHub and inside of our EC2. Okay. All right, so for this next part, let's see. we're going to go back to GitHub. We're going to click on our user profile on top right, and we're going to go to settings.
That's a fun picture of you.
Thanks. It's old. I should probably update it. And from here, we can see things like our SSH keys. You're going to go ahead and create a new key. And okay, right. Before you create a new key here, we're going to have to create a new key locally. So we could leave this here. We're going to go back to our terminal. And the README doesn't have any of these, so I had to prepare this on my own. But let me go ahead and I'm going to start copy pasting some of this inside of the, what is it called? The Zoom chat, and then I'll add it to the README later on. Okay. I'm going to open up a second terminal here. And I'm back in my local machine. And I am going to create a new key.
Why are you creating a new key locally?
Yeah, I guess you could create on your EC2. I created mine locally and then I SCP'd it over to my EC2.
Oh, okay. I just did it straight from the ECP. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you could do that then. You don't want to lose your key though, right? So if you do that, you're gonna want to make sure that you get it onto your local machine.
Got it.
Okay, so I'm gonna copy paste this into the Zoom chat, and I'm gonna change this to my email.
It doesn't matter what directory we're in when we do this.
Do it in your .sh directory. And it's going to tell you that it's creating a public-private RSA key pair. It's going to ask you where to create it. And by default, it's going to suggest ID_RSA inside of your .ssh directory. Just go ahead and use that. You have to type in the full file path, though. I've already got an ID RSA and I don't want to overwrite it, so I'm going to call mine something a little different.
For the emails, does it matter? Like, do we need the one that we use for GitHub or the one we're using for the AWS?
For GitHub.
Okay.
And once you create that, it's going to ask you if you want to use a passphrase. You don't have to use a passphrase. If you do use one, don't lose it because you're going to need it again later on. I'm not going to use one, and I'm just going to hit enter. And then it's going to create my ID_RSA. It's going to create two files, actually. It's going to create the ID_RSA and then an ID_RSA.pub, which is your public fingerprint of that ID RSA. What we want for GitHub when we create a new SSH key is the public version of the public fingerprint of this SSH key. So if we run cat
Julia, I didn't catch what when I'm at enter file in which to save the key. I didn't understand what we were supposed to put there. That was kind of
okay, sure. This is asking you where to create this new ID_RSA underscore RSA, or sorry, this new SSH key, right? And it's suggesting to use the name ID underscore RSA. And it's suggesting to put that in your .ssh directory. Just go ahead and do that. But you'll have to type in the full file path. So where it's prompting you, just type in that exact same thing.
Okay, thanks. And then can you explain again what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's going to ask you for a passphrase and just hit enter twice.
Yeah, I did that. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Where you are now.
And once you do that, it's going to have created two files, an ID_RSA and an ID_RSA.pub. The ID_RSA.pub is the fingerprint, and that's what you're going to want for GitHub. So if you do a cat on that file, you'll see the contents of that file, and you could go ahead and copy it. You're going to copy paste it into your browser where you're setting up your new SSH key in GitHub.
You are going way too fast for me. So I did the cat, and then okay, that's what I have. And then you cut and paste that, put that where?
Yeah, back into GitHub. So back where we left our browser under add new SSH key, you just paste it in the key box and then you give it a name. You want to match the name to whatever was locally. In my case, what did I call mine? Copy. Yeah.
So just copy over everything that's already in that key box. Oh, if there's nothing in there, it's just.
Yeah. Copy what your terminal showed you after you ran the cat command.
Yeah. And then how do we know what to title it? What kind of title do we give it?
Just match it to your file name, ID_RSA. Okay. Now it's going to ask me to confirm, which means I have to grab my phone and open up my GitHub mobile app.
Can you go back to your VS Code for 1 second?
Sure.
Julius.
Yeah.
So when I cat my RSA key, I mean, it shows me the whole key, but it doesn't have, like, you know how yours has the email in it? Mine doesn't have that.
Are you catting the .pub?
I'm catting the ID RSA. Hold on, let me see what's in here. Oh, no, I did not cat the dot. Okay. Yep, that's why. All right.
Cool. I created my key. It asked me to authenticate, so I authenticated through my app. And now I can see my new SSH key.
Where did that show up in your mobile app?
Oh, depends on which thing you choose. Mine asked me to use my app, and so I just opened my app on my phone, and it should prompt you. If it doesn't prompt you, just exit out and enter back in until it prompts you. Like, it's kind of finicky, at least for me.
Yeah, it prompted me the second time.
Okay, cool.
And now you are at, okay, I see where you're at.
So if you made this locally like I did, which I recommend so you don't lose it, because when you destroy your EC2 later on, you're going to lose everything on that EC2. Now you can copy it over to your EC2. So to do that, we're going to use SCP. And SCP is just like SSH. So if you've already lost the command from the EC2, just grab it again. So I'm grabbing my SSH dash blah, blah, blah from an EC2. I'm going to paste it in my browser so I don't lose it. And then I'm going to replace a few things. I'm going to replace SSH with SCP. And then I'm just going to add one more thing.
You're still going so fast, Julius. I don't know where you got that from again. You're going back to
My EC2. Yeah, it should also be in your your terminal history. It's the command that you use to SSH into your EC2.
So we're going to re-SSH into the EC2?
If you don't already have two terminals open like I did, yes, you're going to have to go back onto your EC2.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I have it open. I just did everything that we were doing with the RSA. I did that in the EC2 because I got mixed up. So I don't know if that's an issue now.
Yeah,
Damn.
the thing is, hey, Justin, how do you, okay, no, yeah, I know how you could get that onto your local machine. Basically, we want to get that file on your local machine so you don't lose it, and we'll go through that. Okay, but we're gonna have to talk through the SCP command. Okay, so the reason I asked you to copy paste your SSH command is because I don't think you all are familiar with these commands yet, right? So I'm going to talk you through how to write your SCP command. It's essentially the same thing as your SSH command, except we're going to add another argument. And just to talk about the SSH command one more time, this -I is identity. It's an option that accepts an identity file. In this case, our ID _ RSA.
I have no clue. I can't even listen to what you're saying because I don't know where my SSH key is. Oh my goodness.
Okay, do you remember? Okay, go back to your browser and back to your EC2.
Okay.
Click on your instance.
Okay.
And it's going to show a connect button.
Okay, so I'm already at connect to instance, and
Okay.
that's where we left off. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
the ID is what we want? Is that what you're, no?
this command at the very bottom. This is the SSH command that you use to SSH onto your EC2.
Under example, that's a specific one?
Yeah.
Okay. Then put that in the second terminal or the first terminal?
We're going to just put it into a file for now. Like just make an empty file and leave it in there so you don't lose it. And then paste it on a new line, and we're going to modify it.
Put it in a new file.
Okay.
I don't know how to put a code into a new file. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Okay. Hit new file under file. I don't know if that's showing up on the screen. Is it showing up? Like when I click on this? Okay, yeah. You just do a new file. Doesn't really matter where it is. We're not saving this or anything. We're just using this so we can edit the command.
Okay.
Okay.
I just call this my SSH key.
And we're not saving this file.
I don't even understand what you're saying. You said go to a new file.
Yeah, and paste the command.
Yeah, these are terminal commands that he's just saving. So he could show us what the previous terminal command was to get into the EC2 virtual environment, and he's showing us another one.
Just copy it into a notepad and
There you
then
go.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then what do I do with that command?
Yeah, copy it in a new line and we're going to modify it.
Copy. Okay, we're going to modify that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
Okay, cool. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to replace SSH with SCP. So they're very similar commands, except they do different things. SSH is for signing on essentially to an instance, right? It's a secure shell command. SCP is using the copy command onto a remote location. So it's going to be very similar. It's going to still use this -I option where we pass in our ID underscore rsa.pem. And then we're going to add, sorry, I think for this first part, sorry if this is a little confusing. This is actually something else. This is going to be the key pair from AWS.
Are we doing the ID underscore RSA, or is it like mine right now is gulf2.pem?
You're going to do, okay. Okay, so we've created two things.
Usually I just keep quiet and I'm lost, but I think I'm not supposed to do that. So I'm asking.
Yeah, sorry. No, I'm thinking through it. So far we've created an SSH key in GitHub, right? And then earlier, we also created a key pair in AWS, right?
Okay.
This first part is going to be that key pair we created in AWS. I'm just getting confused by my own naming convention. I'm like following my notes and like everything's named differently. Yeah, so for my case, what did I call my AWS thing? Well, for my case, I'm going to use this. Okay. I'm sorry if it's different from what we were using earlier.
Is this the local? No, this is the PM. So this is the Amazon instance.
The golf
Exactly.
for golf too, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what y'all named yours. I kind of forgot what I named mine.
The key though is this is a PEM file and not a PUB file. That's what you really need to pay attention to.
Exactly.
So as long as what I cut and paste is .pem, I'm good to go. For
Kim,
both.
do you remember one of the first things we did when we had you move that .pem file into your .ssh directory?
Yeah.
That's the file that you want to use, whatever you named that.
Okay. On the one we're redoing, right? The one we're changing.
Exactly. So yeah, again, the thing that you're passing into the -I is the .pem file that we created in AWS. That's your key pair. So whatever you named that, and I think I named mine golf too also, but I know this one works. This is what we use for the other class. I'm going to use this. And then you're going to pass in a few more arguments, okay? And it's going to be the ID RSA and the ID RSA.pub. So you're just going to toss that in between the .pem and the DNS URL. And that's what you want. So from your .ssh folder, where all of these files should be, you run that command. What am I missing? Okay, and let me know if any of you are having any trouble with these commands.
What we just recreated, we're supposed to paste in now, you're saying?
Yeah.
And I'm barely following you, but I'm not supposed to really completely understand what we're doing and be able to do this on my own, right? Is this just a one-time thing of getting this set up?
Yeah, and we can go through it a few more times too. Is it one-time thing? Yes and no. I mean, if you create a new EC2, you're gonna have to do it again on that new EC2.
I thought we're just creating an SSH key so we could use that to, no, okay.
Yeah, we're doing quite a few steps actually. So yes, we created a key pair login, and then we created an SSH key. That SSH key on any new EC2, you'll have to set it up just like this again.
I did something wrong because it's saying no such file or directory.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I got the same as well.
Yes. Let's add, I forgot one step. Let's add one more thing to that command, and it's going to be a colon. And it's going to be a forward slash. No, let's just do it tilde. Dot SSH. So this next part of this last command, we're specifying a file path now, right? And we're saying we want to move these files into our .ssh folder on the EC2. And let me know what you all get.
It looks like
100%.
Cool. Right, so that's what you should be seeing, the 100%. So that confirms that you were able to send your files over to your EC2. So if you go back to your EC2 and you go to that directory, I don't think it's the right EC2. You should see those files along with some other files and folders that were created. So let me know if you are having trouble getting that to copy.
Can I see the contents of your ID RSA?
You were supposed to.
I understand. I want to see. I'm just rusty. This one should not end in an email address. It should just be a hash key, correct?
No, it should be the one with the email address. So it should
Okay.
have a .pub.
Well, there's the PUB and then there's the not PUB one.
Oh, copy both. You're gonna need both.
Right. I've got my naming convention backwards, so I'm trying to see match up to what you have.
Okay. I copied both of mine. So I copied the ID underscore RSA and the ID underscore RSA.
Yeah, I did too. I just wanted to make sure I had the right file names. But if you don't want to share that on video, I would understand.
They should have been created automatically, right?
If I did what you said, yes. But I did it backwards, like you said, so
Okay.
it's all good. I'll figure it out. It's all right.
My ID.RSA. It looks like that. It's a big, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I did something wrong, but when I do LS, I have a directory called EC2-user.
Okay.
The two files should be there instead.
You should put in. Did you type tilde forward slash .ssh?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, can you share?
Maybe.
Yeah, I got the same thing as Kim, so.
Okay.
I don't even see now where I pasted that.
Let's see. Where are you? Okay, go into your EC2-user. And that's like the default username that gets created on on an Amazon 2023 image.
Does you mean just go into the folder?
And do an ls-a. Let's see if, yeah, now let's go into that .ssh directory. Okay, another ls. Cool.
They're there. Okay.
All right.
So it's okay that they're inside a folder and not just directly in it?
Yeah, they should be in the .ssh folder.
Julius,
Yeah.
is the PM file supposed to transfer as well?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So again, I've got both my ID underscore RSA and ID underscore RSA.pub here. And now what we want to do is start running a few SSH agent. I'm gonna copy paste this into our Zoom chat. And again, I'm going to add these to the README later. So this first command is just to confirm that your SSH agent is running. It should be running by default. So you should see what I'm seeing. If you run this command, you'll see this agent PID. And now we want to add our SSH key to this agent. So we do an ssh.add, and we want to add the ID underscore RSA. And this is where you're going to need to use that same passphrase you used earlier when you created this. And I'm not going to enter anything because I didn't use a passphrase. And now I am going to see if this succeeded. I'm going to do an SSH-add -L, and it looks like it did not add this. Oh, right. For me, my bad. I named my stuff differently. I should keep forgetting.
And you should get a prompt for identity added, right?
Yeah, it should let you know if it added it or not. Where did I name my thing? Copy?
That's exactly what I did, Julius.
And did you?
I just did what you just did exactly. Just resend it.
And did it add it?
You have to rerun the command. But yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. So I had to run mine on a different ID underscore RSA because I named mine differently. So you should see a confirmation. Once it's been added, you should see a confirmation. And let me know if you aren't seeing one.
So I got that a line that says identity added, and then it was after that that I did the SSH-add-L.
It's
And I got just a long line of letters and numbers with my email address and then RSA in parentheses.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
So this SSH-add-L is listing all of the identities that have been added to your SSH agent.
Okay.
And so that's just confirming that it succeeded. So let me just copy paste this last one. Okay, now that we have this, we can go back to GitHub and we could copy over our people getter to repository. So I am going to go back to people getter 2. I'm going to go back to my fork, wherever my fork is. And I'm going to copy my SSH URL. This might fail for me because I'm using different RSA keys. Well, I don't want to do this in my SSH folder, but let me go over to projects then. And now I'm going to do my git clone with that URL. Oh, it actually worked. And it's going to copy over, it should copy over the repository. So
you're saying we need to get out of the SSH file as well, correct?
yeah, you don't want to copy you don't want to fork your people getter 2 repo into the .sh folder. You want to leave that specifically for SSH related files. So yeah, get out of there, get back into your home directory. You could clone it directly into the home directory if you want. I went ahead and made a projects directory and I cloned it into that. But just get the people getter 2 onto your EC2. So that's a pretty good.
I get it onto your EC2.
Was that Kim?
We're not, okay, so I have the 2 terminals up. One that's just my regular terminal. Which one am I cloning into? That one or the one we...
Close the regular one. Close the one that you're not remoting from.
All right, so but I want to get out of the SSH.
Yeah, on your EC2, get out of the SSH and yeah, run the git clone.
Just at, I'm just not sure where to just run
So
it.
cd ... out, then do make dir some folder name that you want. And then I named mine workspaces. Julius named his projects. It's redundant on what you name it. And then from there, cd into that folder and clone into that folder.
The key is not known by other names, just yes. It's going to ask us that every time.
Yes.
I think it worked.
Cool. Right, now that we have our people getter 2, we could cd into that directory. And I think you all should have done this before, maybe even earlier this week. You'll see the 3 different directories. You'll see the README, and then you'll see the start all script. We could go ahead and run that start all script. And what this is going to do is it's going to spin up Docker Compose. Oh, yeah. It actually does not use Docker Compose. It's going to go into each directory individually and run the shell scripts in there.
Yeah, we haven't done Docker Compose yet. It's kind of been mentioned, but
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I guess not. I think I just assumed Docker Compose because the install command from earlier mentioned Docker Compose. Okay, cool. Yeah, so once you run this start all script, it's going to run these different shell scripts on its own. And what these scripts do is they run Docker build and then Docker run. So the end result is, if you do a Docker PS, you should see that you have 3 containers running. Now with the people getter 2 application running on your EC2, you can go back to your EC2 in your AWS account in your browser and go back to where you can grab the public IP address from. And then go ahead and open that public IP address. You'll probably see what I'm seeing. You're not able to connect. And that's because by default, Chrome will try to establish an HTTPS connection. And if you remember earlier, we only set up SSH and HTTP connections. So just delete that S, hit enter, and you should be able to see your PeopleGetter app. Cool.
Julius, so the SCP-I, is that similar to like, because I've used it as far as in the past, but it was years ago. But if I recall correctly, we used to have to put our username in on Linux when we would transfer over the network. So is that -I and that file name the replacement of all that?
No, the -I is for the identity file. In this case, an SSH, sorry, a key pair. And the EC2 user is the username that's actually associated with the external address.
Oh, okay. I see it. Okay.
For those who don't know what's happening or what we're talking about, SCP is a function within Linux that allows you to secure copy from a local machine to a hosted machine, local meaning your computer, hosted meaning on the internet somewhere. And then it's a new form of what used to be called FTP, which is kind of a junky old protocol. Then it went to RCP and now it's SCP. So it's just a way to copy files from one location to another securely encrypted. And there could be 1,000 endpoint ways to whether you have to log in from your local machine and then send, or send and then log into the remote machine. There's all kinds of setups on that. So
Can I SCP from my EC2 to my local machine? Because I mean, I was able to follow along because I already had the files in there because I did all the RSA stuff inside the EC2. But is there any way to do the
you can,
reverse?
but you may have some routing issues because of internet firewalls and things of that nature.
So it might be easier to.
So I basically didn't have to do that SCP stuff because it was already there, but now I don't have those files on my local machine, which I don't know if that matters for our future progress.
Well, hey, you're on Linux. It's a great time to learn IP tables.
Yeah.
I think you should still be able to. Okay, let me think. Justin, shouldn't he also be able to run the SCP from his local machine? Just switching. What am I thinking of here? Yeah, let's see. Because you could use it to. You should also be able to use it to grab files from a remote location onto your local machine, right?
Right. And I was trying to read up on that, but I feel like I've gone at the capacity of my knowledge here because I was trying to look up those commands and like run them and trying to make sense of it, but it was just saying no directory exists.
Okay, let's see. It's been a while since I've done this, but from a remote machine to our local machine. Why does it only have one path? Okay, I'm gonna try. Yeah, I'm just gonna try this where I'm gonna reverse these two things. So I'm gonna pass in the remote URL first and then the files that I want. Not sure if that's gonna work. Let me try. Oh, is that it? Yeah. ID underscore RSA. Shoot. You get that to work, Justin? I'm not getting it to work.
I did, but I have all my stuff set up for this, to be honest with you. Like, I have a server in the middle somewhere, I think.
Mhm.
What error are you getting?
Oh, I think I'm being. Let's see. I think I might be using the wrong time key. I keep forgetting like these names that I'm using. What was I? Golf 2. Okay, cool. Yeah, that worked for me too. So what Justin threw inside of the meeting chat, Sean, that should work for you too. Basically, you're gonna run that SCPI again. You're gonna pass in your identity file, but instead of specifying the file name after that, you're gonna specify the remote location. So in my case, it is colon tilde dot SSH. And let's say ID RSA copy. Let's say that's what I wanted to retrieve. Then that's what I would type. And then I just type my local directory and where I want it to go. And that should let you retrieve the ID underscore RSA from your remote location, from your EC2 onto your local machine. Okay. We made it through to the end, everyone. That's AWS EC2 in a nutshell.
Jordan said this was going to be
Remote
fun.
path, local path, remote
Not having
path.
fun?
So one
No,
of my the way I learned SCP and remote and all of SOX proxy all at once is I worked for a small telecom company, and we would have to remote into a local server to remote into a local server to remote into their phone server that was a hosted server because of the way firewall routing was. So we were basically hacking these small networks to hop around and then get out through their own network. And then you'd be like, where am I right now? I have no idea what server I'm in.
Like fun.
I learned so much in that. I mean, it was such a bad environment as far as like setup goes, but I learned so much because of it. SOX proxying was, I didn't know anything about it. Now I just realize how easy it is to get into networks.
So trial by fire is how you learned.
Yeah. The engineer's like, here, bye.
Right. Cool. Is it looks like everyone should be on the same page. I don't see any thumbs down. I don't see any comments in the README about not being able to connect. So
if being on the same page means that we have the people getter up
yes,
now.
yes. And you can see that, right?
Yeah, the only way I got it up was by hand putting in that 35.173.126. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, you grab that IP address from your EC2, you toss it into your browser, and you just make sure to remove the S from the HTTPS.
Okay. Wouldn't be able to replicate this at this point.
Well, give it a few more runs and then you can.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Once you understand what's local and what's not local, it becomes much easier. And then like understanding a little bit about IP addresses, like this is an internal type of IP, this is an external type of IP, like that basic, it'll help you a whole bunch.
Up until today, everything we've been doing has been internal, right? Like using two terminals or something to kind of look.
Except for GitHub, but yes.
Okay. We're bouncing kind of back and forth between two terminals. So today is really the first time we've taken something and made it external to a different IP address. Is that right?
Yeah, and the only reason we had two terminals is Julius is trying to make things a little bit easier for you as far as like copying that long command that was super pretty advanced for where we are. And so this is all done in one terminal. And if you need to do two terminals, there's a million ways to do that. You can split, you can do another terminal, so on and so forth. But actually, when you create a new terminal, I didn't know if you know this, but you can name that terminal using a certain command, and that sometimes helps you keep track of what it's doing too.
I like that idea. And I wasn't talking about today. I was talking about when we would, like even back when we would send a curl request into a different terminal to kind of mimic going outside our computer.
That's similar. You're reaching out to a web server using a curl command, yes. But it's not the same as remoting in. You're saying, hey, I'm sending this request. Can you reply with this information? And the service says, here you go. In this one, we're going knock, knock, and the service saying, oh, come on in, make yourself at home, look around my file structure, that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different as far as the protocols that we used.
Okay.
Has Jordan had you all Docker exec into an image yet or a container?
Yes.
We have done.
So I had some questions on that. So I've been studying Docker independently, and I've noticed a lot of the Alpine images do not contain bash, and yet we're still able to use bash on the scripts that we're using. I have not figured that out because if I do just an Alpine image, so I don't know if maybe the class is setting up bash beforehand when we're doing those image pulls or what, but because I think Alpine's .sh only.
Right. Okay, so I'm not super familiar with Alpine. I know that Alpine are lightweight images, and so if they don't have bash, then they're probably just using a very, very standard shell script, or not shell script, like a shell terminal.
The other day we execed in using bash and I was like, this is an Alpine image. I'm super confused right now. So it doesn't matter. It worked, but I was just thought I may be wrong on something.
Yeah, I don't know. What day was it?
They're all the same. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'll look through the README. I'll see if
I'm guessing there was something I missed and maybe it was like set up by Jordan previously and I just didn't catch that part. Because I think if it was just Alpine dot whatever, I would not be able to use bash. But I think maybe it was an image he created and I pulled.
okay.
And maybe I missed that part, but because a lot of times I run these as one script and I don't really see all the steps. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get why a lot of these were created with the startup scripts and whatnot, just to make things easier. But I also feel like that kind of hinders you in a way, because if you just kind of skip through the fundamentals of the commands that are being run, it's a little easier to get lost later on.
I agree with that. And well, for me, it's a memory thing too. Like even if I don't know all the flags, I still need to know the meat of the commands.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, Jonathan, when we worked in a group, he was very adamant about doing it manually. So I thought that was good.
And that's something that you can do. Like when you have any of these startup.sh files, you don't have to like run the whole thing. You don't have to copy the whole thing and paste it. You could do it line by line if that helps you learn better.
For me, like if I'm doing something and I'm unsure, I hit the man page every time just to get that habit. like, because the man page doesn't give you like, it's not as good as ChatGPT, but
Mhm.
it's always available and there is a flow to how to read them. And so once you've read a couple hundred of them, you kind of know how to jump around and see the information you need or how to grep. That's a big basic command that is actually hard to use. So yeah,
They use dash dash help a lot as well.
I do. Yeah. And a lot of times I'll dump, like me, I'll grep out what I want and dump it into a different file and then just read the highlights.
All very handy stuff to get in the habit of, because it does get overwhelming trying to like memorize all of these different terminal commands.
For me, when I went through my Linux engineering test, I just remembered like there is this type of command. I don't need to have it memorized. I just need to know that it exists. And then Linux is so good with help files
Mhm.
that you can do that. Um, Unlike, like Cisco stuff and all that, where it's like you have to memorize every little thing.
Oh, the command.
How is everyone feeling? Good.
I feel like I wish I knew what the next step was, because I was racing to keep up with you and I was typing in, but I don't know what I was doing. Like Jonathan was saying, I like to know what I'm typing out. I was not there today. I was just following you. So I don't really know how much I gleaned.
Okay.
I got it up, but I don't understand what I did. We went so
Just
fast.
just do what we did today 3 more times.
Yeah, I think I need the repetition, and then I'll start clicking more and more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I think today's kind of class highlight was understanding how to create an ECW account, understanding how to set a EC2 instance, remote into said instance, and then set up SSH. So those are what, 5 things that we kind of did. So you could break it down in your notes that way.
Yeah, the setting up the SSH was tricky because it's not if I guess A, it's your first time using SSH, and B, I don't know why it's not in the README. So again, like I said, I'll add that, and you'll run through this again with your groups. So I'll open up breakout rooms, and yeah, we've been here for a while, so we could take a break too. And yeah, Nor, Phyllis, and I will be here to run through any as much as you all need to, really, in case you're struggling again. So yeah, I'll be here to walk through anything in the main room if anybody needs it. It's still recording. Let me cut the recording.